I'm a fucking brat. That's the thing. And so when you're a brat and you need to grow up from this good girl, do it for approval energy, and to truly become a bad bitch, you need to stop trying to pretend that you haven't been through stuff. Guess the song. Pump up the jam, pump it up while your feet aren't stomping. If the jam will pump it up. I don't know the rest of the lyrics. Did you guys grow up on jock jams the way that I grew up on jock jams? It was really sad. I was not doing my morning pages like I'm supposed to be doing because I'm doing the artist way right now. And just doom scrolling. And after this TikTok, I just had to turn it off because it's just so depressing out there with education now. Like right now, the student body just struggles so much with basic attention span. Like her just standing in front of them and giving them a lesson plan shouldn't require some sort of crazy performance or a distraction doom scroll on the side so that they pay attention and keep their focus. But she talked about how she's teaching between moments on the internet for them, and the internet is their real life. And we can't judge how these kids are going to turn out. And I'm not going to pretend that I can have an opinion on the subject. I'm not a teacher and I don't have children, nor do I plan on having them. But I was a kid prior to the internet. And I think that it allowed me to create some pretty amazing curation. I think that's the thing that's sad for me the most is that it's not so much that the kids' lives are on the internet. I think that's fine. So I'm not going to judge kids being online. But I am going to say that I'm very grateful to have had a life where I was forced to figure out what I liked. I think that's where a lot of depression comes in for a lot of these kids, is not even just maybe the dopamine stuff or the attention span stuff, but do they know how to decide what they like? What is their taste in music or in art or in fashion or in friendship or in relationships? Or is the algorithm taking our ability to have our own opinion away? And I'm not going to say that. I just think it's if you grow up on it when your brain is developing, that's where it gets sort of tricky, doesn't it? But we're not going to talk about that this week. This week, we're doing another deep dive on our weekly newsletter, which this week was about what I like to call good girl syndrome. So for those of you here from the newsletter, hi, thanks for coming. Stick around, get cozy, grab a beverage. This is the Not podcast. It's not a podcast, but it's not a podcast either. The whole reason why I started this wasn't necessarily to gain a huge following, but to sort of do a radical act of self-acceptance and rejection therapy, while at the same time, giving the advice or creating the content that I really needed to see in the world 10 years ago when I was a lost little 20-year-old something thinking that I was a big bad boss bitch, which we're going to talk about today. But it's also a record of what my journey is to become who I'm meant to be. And I really want to be able to look back on a body of work and a memory bank as an elder version of Daryl Oh and say, wow, I really fucking did that. So if this is all you listen to and you're inspired to do this yourself, I really, really encourage it. I'm only about, half of a year into this process, and it hasn't been perfect, and it has been difficult to show up every single week, but I'm here to learn a skill, share a story, keep a memory bank. And the memory I want to keep this week is about how good girl syndrome is ultimately the reason for why we become bad girls. Now, a bad girl is not a bad bitch, okay? And not a bad woman. A bad girl is just reacting to a world that told her she needed to be good. And listen, I know what I am talking about. My entire brand is bad girl, right? But the elephant in the room is that I have good girl syndrome. Picking up from the topic last week where I talked about how difficult it was to get back on the horse after you've been ruminating in perfection paralysis. And the reason this exists is good girl syndrome. So, Daryl, what are you talking about? Well, for a lot of us, girls especially, feminine embodied individuals, are told to be good girls and be smart but not too smart, and be funny but not too funny, not funnier than the man in the room, not funnier than the person you're dating, not funnier than your boss. You can be yourself, but not to yourself, and at the appropriate time and the appropriate amount and within the limitations of societal norms. So you can imagine that this is a pretty impossible task. And for a lot of you, I don't think you have to imagine it. I think you probably were just nodding the whole time when I was saying that. So for those of us who are nodding the whole time, you know what it's like to be in a world that is just constantly telling you to be this perfect thing that you can't be. So after a while, you end up going, you know what? I will be the villain. After a while, the universe sends you enough lessons where you just try and try and try and try, and she just pushes you back down, right? Like the bully on the playground, to the point where you just graffiti the whole place, you burn it to the ground, and you just become the villain. Because at the end of the day, it's easier just to be who you really are. Like, you're a bad girl anyways, right? Wrong. The bad girl is just reacting, right? Because the layer deeper is the fact that you need to do things for approval. And so the story arc for me is like, I'm 17 years old. I try and be perfect all the time. I'm disappointing my parents. I'm disappointing my friends. I'm disappointing society. I'm not thin enough. I'm not tall enough. And so I remember getting into NYU, and like, it was a full cinematic internal shift where the lighting went under my face and my head tilted down and my eyes raised up through my brow, and I just went full Stanley Kubrick, and I was like, I got into school. I'm going to New York. Fuck this shit. And it was right on time because my parents got divorced that summer. And for the next 10 years, I just became this really, really bad girl. You delude yourself the whole time that you are a bad bitch, that you're moving to New York, you're leaving this small town behind, and you're going to be the first person to ever become unique. Like, no, girl, that's still pick me energy. It's still a personality you're performing, mama. So when you wake up at 30 years old with a absolute tower moment where everything you have ever known about the identity that you were trying to play has completely crumbled around you, well, then you realize, oh, turns out I was just being a little girl. I was still doing it in defiance. And listen, when you're not living on your path, the beautiful thing is that the universe is constantly trying to course correct you. And if you have an extreme amount of trauma in your life or things aren't working out, it's an opportunity for you to go, where am I supposed to be instead? It's not supposed to be, hey, I'm a piece of shit. Let me just try and be a perfect person again since this whole bad girl thing didn't work out. Like, tail between my legs, I'm just going to become a responsible adult and do my affirmations and get sober and like get my life together. And honestly, hun, like, if that works out for you, great. I actually mean that from the bottom of my heart. But I was having a conversation with one of my clients the other day who is also what I like to call a bad girl. And we had this aha moment together where she wants to, like me and so many of us, finally drop this fear of getting in trouble, because the whole reason why we went F you to the world and did our own thing was to have complete freedom and independence. But what is really the biggest frustration about that is that we become our abusers. Our inner voice continues the narrative of the people that are no longer in our lives. And it's so insidious that we don't even realize that it's happened, because the bad girl gets us out of the bad situations, keeps us in our workaholic mode, keeps us in our productivity mode. But listen, burnout came for her, burnout came for me. And when you go back to the tank that you used to use to burn yourself out, first of all, it's empty. And second of all, the kumbaya productivity stuff doesn't work either. Because like the kumbaya, like, oh, wake up and just like say positive things and be motivated by good results and happiness. I'm so bored. I want to throw my coffee mug, my hot coffee in your face. I'm a fucking brat. That's the thing. And so when you're a brat and you need to grow up from this good girl, do it for approval energy, and to truly become a bad bitch, you need to stop trying to pretend that you haven't been through stuff. How many of y'all like got really shit faced like the night before your SATs and then knocked them out of the park and got into the best school? Like, I'm talking about those people, right? I'm talking about the people that have been through so much from a young age that their brain is just like wired at a higher setting. And so, what you end up doing when you have too much calm and too much boredom and too much positivity, it's not really like interesting or pleasurable to you because it's not hard. And so a lot of us who have like prior experiences with, drugs and alcohol addiction or a lot of partying in our life or recklessness or self-sabotage, I want to invite the possibility that maybe you like things really hard and you continue to self-sabotage the good things in your life because they're not hard enough and you're like me and you're a brat. What do we do? What do we do?
Because here's the truth that I realized. The bad girl phase was just an overcorrection to behaving beneath my own ability. I want to say that again. The bad girl phase was just an overcorrection to behaving beneath my own ability. Right? Like, turns out the same reason that, like, I went on like a 3-day rave bender working as a nightlife photographer in New York City before my thesis was due the next day. It's the same reason I like thrive in really, really intense workouts after a good smack on the ass. Nothing will get me up and out of bed like, well, guess we won't see your fullest potential. Like, fuck that. Like, fully Kali Ma, like Baba Yaga shit. Like, I want to murder my day. And when I step into the energy and the recognition that I like it hard, and if I don't lean into that and I don't feed that need, I will end up cannibalizing myself and self-sabotage. So you've got to feed the hunt. You've got to click into the pleasure center that likes destruction. It's the feminine rage, and this is an incredibly dangerous energy for society because it is so powerful when a woman hysterically says, fuck it. But instead of reacting and caring about the person who's told her that she can or cannot do something, she simply steps over them and into the responsibility of self and says, I don't need your permission and I genuinely don't care. I'm doing this because I fucking love it. I like doing hard things. I like learning new skills. I like defeating my enemies. I like hitting my goals. I like a tough sweat. I like it hard. So ultimately, to heal the good girl, we have to become the bad woman. And it's simply time to grow up, because to truly heal the good girl, you have to become the bad bitch, the bad woman. And that simply is taking responsibility for yourself. Granddad was wrong. It's not with great power comes great responsibility. It's that with great responsibility comes great power. So I'm going to leave it there. I feel like I've just like hyped myself up for a fantastic day. Like I said, I'm reading The Artist's Way. I'm in week 1. I just finished developing a whole bunch of film yesterday, and shot a YouTube video on how I develop my film on the road. So keep an eye out for that. Like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notifications when a new podcast comes up or when a new YouTube video comes up. I'm really going to spend a lot more time, I think, in the next quarter of the year to bring out some more like tutorial skill sets around being a photographer and being a videographer. But I'd like to just share some more of that knowledge, and also my love for film and developing film. So love you guys so much. Thank you so much for hanging out. So if you enjoyed this, consider signing up to my newsletter. There are some really great deals as well as recommendations that I put out once a week. I am going to go spend the rest of my afternoon editing YouTube footage and planning out
my content for next week. But I hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you. And if you have made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave a comment. Like, tell me what you like. Tell me what you didn't like. What do you want to hear? What would be interesting to you? I've got a lot of stories. I was a very bad kid. I have a lot of lessons, and I'd love to share them with you. So until next time, bye.